In today's video, we test drive Fistful of Lead, Galactic Heroes, a new set of quick and easy wargaming rules for cinematic sci-fi skirmishes. Well, hello again, folks. It's Lee from skirmishwargames.com, and today we're going to talk about a brand new game called Fistful of Lead, Galactic Heroes. But before we get into that, I want to prove my loyalty to the space opera genre. This is my original LP, the Flash Gordon movie, original soundtrack by Queen, that I purchased at an actual record store in 1980 when the movie came out. This is actually pretty cool. So, yeah, you got the record sleeve with all the characters on it. A little lyric sheet, some info on the movie, and there's Max von Sydow as Ming the Merciless. Alright, now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about Fistful of Lead, Galactic Heroes from Wiley Games. Why Fistful of Lead, do you ask? Well, because this game is produced by the same dude who produced the Fistful of Lead Wild West gunfighting skirmish game, which I've had on the shelf for a little bit, have not played yet, but when this came out, I really do like this genre, and some of the things about this game were of interest to me too. So we're going to take a look at that, and then once we're done looking at the rules and, you know, some of the Kickstarter stuff I got, then we'll play through a couple of sample turns, just show you some of the mechanics. So anyway, let's get to it. Okay, so all of this stuff here, or most of it, 90% of it, should be available on the Wiley Games website right now for purchase. But I got it through the Kickstarter campaign, and I think I signed up back in March of 2018. So I just got it a couple of weeks ago, which would have been middle of October 2018. So right off the bat, there's a bunch of things I like about this concept, and this style of gaming in particular. To begin with, the whole rule set is less than 60 pages long, so there are a couple little supplements here, but basically this is it. That's all you need to figure out. Okay, secondly, you can play this game with almost any sci-fi miniatures that you want. You know, some old Warhammer stuff, some HeroClix, some HorrorClix, Star Wars miniatures battles, Dust Tactics, miscellaneous, whatever. It's very open form. Also, if you're into 15mm stuff, they say right in the rules that it works fine with 15mm, so if you have some laser burn stuff or whatever you want to use, go nuts. Okay, number 3, you can accommodate multiple players with this game easily. Each player only needs 5 to 6 miniatures. So you technically could have up to 8 players playing this game with 5 to 6 minis each. The only real practical limit is the activation mechanic is kind of based on a deck of cards. This is a special deck that came with the Kickstarter, but you can use just a regular deck. So you got 52 cards, so if you had 8 players, each with 6 miniatures each, you'd be looking at 48 cards. So that's probably the practical limit. And so, okay, number 4, and this kind of dovetails with using whatever miniatures you want, you can set up your Galactic Heroes scenario in basically any sci-fi universe you want to. So that could be a Flash Gordon or a Buck Rogers style, you know, space opera like we've been talking about, a gothic dystopian battleground 40,000 years in the future, a galactic rebellion between an evil empire and a bunch of scrappy rebels. You know, I was even thinking, does anyone remember that old sci-fi movie Ice Pirates? And number 5, and this is something that I really appreciate, is that the game designer Jay Wiley wrote right in the rule book that these are your rules, you purchased them, change anything you want to. Okay, so before we get into doing a little demonstration of some of the gameplay mechanics, this is the stuff that I got in my Kickstarter pack. 90% of this should be available on the Jay Wiley Games website, wileygames.com. Really, if you want to go bare bones, you can get by with just getting the rule book. 60 pages, it covers the basics, combat, movement, various actions. It's basically a framework that you can build your own tabletop sci-fi story around. Here's some extra things which can kind of add to it. This is the vehicle instruction manual, and again, it's, you know, really not that much to it, but it kind of talks about things like using speeder bikes and skimmers and tanks and walkers and stuff like that, and adding that to your game, mounts. And then here is the Codex Galactica, and it just kind of runs through some sample armies. Dash Dixon and the Star Rangers, the Catwomen of Felinius, Rebel Scum, Bounty Hunters and other villains, Federated Space, Enemies of the Federation, an interdimensional time-traveling scientist. Yeah, so anyway, you know, whatever your favorite sci-fi tropes are from TV or movies or comics or whatever, and you want to make your own scenario, this little system is flexible enough to do all of that. Just don't expect it to be super crunchy. I mean, it's really not designed for that. It's designed for ease of play, simple mechanics, and flexibility, I think. That's my interpretation of it. Oh, okay, and there's a few other little things that came with the Kickstarter pack. the special Galactic Heroes cards. And again, some of these cards give you special bonuses or special abilities. Heal 1 wound. In this game, pretty hard to heal a wound, so that's good to have. +1 to close combat. Yeah, so assigning the right card to the right character at the right time could give you some nice benefits. I also got a couple of D10s. That's pretty much mostly what you need. Sometimes you're going to need a D8 or a D12, and I think a D6 sometimes, but most of the rolls are going to be a single D10, which is kind of interesting. Got my own Galactic Heroes badge. You know, fun at parties. So then, yeah, the kit also included a resin skimmer, which I need to kind of sand down and paint up. And then some objective markers. And they also gave me this snazzy blast template and flamethrower template. Now these are also included in the book pretty much. So got all these handy little tokens for things like whether somebody gets a shock result from combat or a wound. I think this is if you're creeping along, and this might be an out of ammo marker and an aim marker, maybe? I'd have to look that up. I'm not sure about that. But yeah, shock is a big factor and wounds are a big factor, because if you're shocked and or wounded, that's going to make you a little debilitated when you're trying to move around and shoot things. Shock you can get rid of. Wounds, not so easy. Okay, so that is just taking a look at what was in the Kickstarter pack. Now I'm going to set up the board and go find Lynn, and we're going to run through just a couple of sample turns to show you kind of how some of the mechanics work. Okay, we're back. So we just finished up looking at the Kickstarter packet for Fistful of Lead, Galactic Heroes from Wiley Games. And now we're going to go through just a couple of sample turns of gameplay. We're kind of going in cold, so we're going to kind of walk through the different gameplay functions. This is a pretty simple system. Basically, you shuffle the cards, deal the cards, 1 card per model. That gives you the sequence of activation, and then basically every model gets 2 actions, unless there's something special about it, some special trait. And these can be used for things like moving, aiming, shooting, reloading, breaking down doors, changing weapons, recovering from shock, or specific tasks that might be required by the scenario, like maybe disabling a tractor beam, or setting a demolition charge, or realigning a communications array, something like that. So when you're shooting, it's a very simple shooting mechanic. Basically, there's a base number for short and long range, depending on the weapon. This is modified by factors such as the weapon used, whether the shooter is aiming, shaken, or wounded, whether a target is in light or heavy cover, whether the target is small or large, in a moving vehicle, etc. Then if a miniature ends its movement within 1 inch of an enemy, close combat ensues, and that's got its own set of modifiers. There's also, in the book, there's advanced rules for building your crew, special abilities, war gear, and psionics, and stuff like that. So, normally a crew would be between 5 or 6 minis. In this case, we're just going to do 3 minis each, just to speed things along, and go through a couple of sample turns. Linda, would you like to hear about today's scenario?
I would love to hear about today's scenario.
Okay, so basically, we're in the jungle planet hidden lair of the mad scientist Dr. Sparkle, and he is attempting to reactivate an ancient weapon, the wormhole cannon, which has been here for millennia. And that's fine, nothing wrong with that, except that the corporate overlords who control this sector of space really demand a special user fee if you're going to set up an unsanctioned research facility within their prosperity sphere. Got it?
Got it.
Okay. So Dr. Sparkle, that's this dude here, is kind of a libertarian, and he refuses to recognize the oligarchy's taxation authority. So the oligarchy, basically the ruling syndicate, has dispatched a team of revenue agents, that's these guys, to collect payment before Dr. Sparkle basically completes the restoration of his interplanetary death ray and tells him to sod off, because once it's activated, you know, he doesn't have to pay nothing. So here's the 2 teams. We have Team Sparkle over here. So there's Dr. Sparkle. He has basically got an energy blast that he emits himself. It's got a 6-inch short range, 12-inch long range. On a roll of 1, he's depleted, so he needs to rest a turn to recharge before using it again. So also, he has a damaging aura, which means as an action, he can place the 3-inch burst template over himself, and anybody caught under that, it's going to be as if they'd been hit with the burst fire from a submachine gun or something like that. And also he regenerates, which is a rare thing in this game. So he heals 1 wound at the end of each turn, but if he's knocked out of action, he's still out of action. We'll assume that his containment suit has been breached and his energy is dispersed back into the universe. He is assisted by Plutonia. She is his lab security agent. She is a killer, which means she gets +1 to her wound rolls when shooting. She has a blaster rifle, which is inaccurate. -1 to the shoot roll, but also a +1 to the wound roll. And she has a knife, which means in close combat she wins ties if the close combatant she's fighting has no close combat weapon. Then you have Deathbot. So Deathbot is armored, so his movement is reduced by 1, but when he's being attacked, whether with shooting or by close combat, the opponents have a -1 on their to hit and to wound rolls because he's shielded in metal. He is soulless, so he's immune to shaken results, but he also has no sense of self-preservation, so shooters get a +1 to hit when they're shooting at him because he just kind of charges into the line of fire. He has grenades. He also has an auto rifle. Auto rifle is 12-inch short range, 24-inch long range. It has an optional 3-inch burst radius at short range. So basically you can choose if your targets are within short range, you can shoot at them and say, I want to burst. And anybody under that burst template, the smaller one, the 3-inch one, you'd be shooting at them at a -1. But if you do that, then you're out of ammo. And you have to spend the requisite actions to reload. So this is team taxation. Basically, you have Adam Weird. He is the Galactic Revenuer. He has a jetpack, which means he moves freely over intervening terrain. He can also move vertically, but he has to land between moves. So he is a veteran, so instead of using a D10 for all his rolls, he uses a D12, so that gives him a chance to roll a little bit higher. He has a laser pistol, which is 8-inch, 12-inch, short and long range, but it is an ammo hog. So basically, it runs out of ammo on a roll of a 1 to 2 rather than just a 1 during the shooting phase. And it also has AP1, which means it penetrates 1 layer of armor. So if he's shooting at the armored guy here, then he doesn't have the same armored penalties with the laser pistol. He is a pugilist, which means he's a boxer type. He has unarmed combat, so he gets no negative modifier for fighting in close combat without a weapon. And he's tough as nails, which means he has 4 wounds instead of the normal 3. They are supported by Red Ink. She is the auditor. She is quick, so she gets +1 on her movement action. She is a swordsman, swordswoman, swordsperson, so she gets +1 on close combat rolls when she's using a close combat weapon. She has an auto pistol, which is a regular old auto pistol, 6-inch short range, 12-inch long range, and a power sword. So that gives her +1 on close combat rolls, plus it puts opponents out of action on a natural close combat die roll of 10 or above. They get chopped into little bits. And they are supported by Deputy Snurg. That's this dude here. He is a sniper, so once per turn he can re-roll a shoot roll. He has a laser rifle, which is 16 inches short range, 32 inches long range, so it's a long range weapon. Out of ammo on a shoot roll of 1 or 2, because it's an ammo hog, and AP1, so again it penetrates armor. And he has a club, which is -1 to the wound roll, but adds an additional shock marker if it's successful. So given all of that, what you've heard, do you want to be the Legion of Dr. Sparkle or the Galactic Tax Crew?
Well, I definitely don't want a death ray in action, so we'll go for the taxation crew.
Okay, you're the taxation crew. So this is going to be a 3-turn demonstration. This will be really kind of basic, just to show you some of the mechanics, such as movement and firing and close combat and whatever else happens to come up. We have read the rule book several times and played some sample turns, but we may have missed a grasp of some of the rules here or there. So apologies in advance if anything's not exactly as intended in the rule book, but really, in the history of the universe, has any war game ever been played according to the exact letter of the rules? I don't know. You can answer that for yourself. So, to start out, we're going to shuffle the official Galactic Heroes deck. This can also be played with a regular deck of cards. And then each player will be assigned 1 card per miniature that they have, and then that'll be sort of the activation. So, we'll each get dealt 3 cards, because we each have 3 miniatures. Normally a game would do 5 to 6 miniatures per player, but we're just moving things along here. We've also kind of placed them as though this is already in the middle of a game. Some cards will have special abilities which may or may not come into play, and then we'll just kind of see how it goes. So, you have shuffled.
I have shuffled. Did you want to cut them?
Sure, I'll cut the cards.
All right.
Okay, so then you would deal. You can just deal them right here if you want to. 3 cards per player because we each have 3 minis. That's what I got.
And that's what I got.
And as I said, some of the cards have special abilities when they get played. Also, aces are wild, so if you have an ace, you can play it as any card. You just have to play it in the normal sequence that card normally would be played. And if, say, you're playing the Queen of Hearts for your ace, someone has a regular Queen of Hearts, the actual card gets played prior to the ace.
One.
Yeah, to the fake one. Okay, so with all that in mind, do you have any kings?
No.
Do you have any queens?
No.
Do you have any jacks?
No.
I have a jack. So that is the Jack of Spades, +1 to shoot rolls. I'm going to go ahead and activate Deathbot. He is armored, which makes him slow. He has to watch out for Adam Weird, who has a laser pistol, which can penetrate the armor. He is also soulless. He doesn't get affected by shaken results, but he's also +1. It's also +1 for people to shoot at him or bonk him on the head because he doesn't have much self-preservation. Okay, so Deathbot gets 2 actions. He has a movement of 4. So he is going to move 4 inches this way and open fire on Adam Weird. So you can't pre-measure your shots. So if his gun only shot 12 inches, he'd be in trouble. He would have wasted his shot. But because he has an auto rifle, it has a short range of 12 inches and a long range of 24. So Adam Weird is within the 24-inch range. Any other bonuses for Adam Weird that you can think of for getting shot at?
Not for getting shot at, no. But he is tough as nails, so he takes 4 wounds instead of 3.
Right, he has 4 wounds instead of 3. Okay, so Deathbot, I don't think there's anything there that really counts as cover, do you?
No.
In terms of field of fire, everyone's got 360 degrees, so imagine it's a sci-fi movie where everyone's just blazing away, has eyes in the back of their head. So you don't have to worry about facing or anything like that. So Deathbot is going to shoot at Adam Weird. Okay, so normally to hit at long range, he needs an 8+. He has the Jack of Spades, which gives him a +1 to his shoot rolls, so he's going to use that. So he needs a 7+. There's no modifiers for terrain or anything else, so just a straight 7+. And he gets a 3. So, yeah, he fired to no effect. So he had his 2 actions. 1 was to move, 1 was to fire. That is the end of his activation. Okay, so that is jacks. Do you have any 10s?
No.
Do you have any 9s?
No.
I have the 9 of hearts, which has no special abilities. So I get to activate another player. Okay, so what's going on with Plutonia? Plutonia is a killer. So +1 to wound rolls when shooting. Her blaster rifle has a 12-inch short range, 24-inch long range, but it is inaccurate, so -1 to the shoot roll, but +1 to the wound roll. And she has a knife, so she wins ties versus an opponent who has no close combat weapon in close combat. So her movement is 5. So that puts her about there.
So Plutonia's got her decisions to make.
Yeah, it looks like all of her opponents are in cover. And that may be heavy cover. Stone wall is definitely heavy cover.
I don't know if I'd call the fender heavy cover. That's probably light cover.
All right.
Because it's just kind of the corner of it.
So she is going to try to shoot then red ink. Okay. So that's long range.
Long range, light cover.
Long range with light cover. So -1 for using the blaster rifle. Another -1 for light cover. So it's an 8, that's a 10. She needs a 10 or better. Come on. 7. Okay, so that is a miss. So she moved, she fired, she missed. So that was 9s. Anyone got any 8s?
So I do have the 8. I have the 8 of clubs.
All right.
So no special abilities on that one.
Okay, so this is your first activation of your squad.
This is my first activation.
Okay, so who are you playing with your 8?
So I'm going to do Deputy Snurg.
So and Deputy Snurg.
He's going to move a little bit closer to Plutonia. He doesn't have to move very close. He's probably within long range right now, but I'm going to try to get into short range. Long range is 32, short range is 16. I'm going to move him. I'm going to just move him to there.
Okay, so he's moved a little bit closer. Now he's got a laser rifle, and he's also a sniper, so he gets to re-roll
1 die.
1 shoot roll, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so he is definitely within the 16 inches.
Okay, so he's in short range.
He's in short range. So he needs to roll a 5 or better.
Okay, so 5 or better to hit.
And
a
I'm
2.
going to re-roll that shoot roll.
Okay, because that would make you out of ammo too, because it's an ammo hog.
5.
A 5. Okay, so you hit.
So I hit.
So 1 hit. So now you just roll on the wound roll.
2.
2 on the wound chart. 1 to 5 is shaken. So she is shaken.
She is shaken. So I didn't manage to wound her, but I did manage to shake her. So now she has to move back 5 inches into cover.
Yeah, so if you get the shaken token, you have to move toward the nearest cover.
5 inches.
5 inches.
Or into cover, whichever is shorter.
So I would say probably this is shorter,
The tree,
isn't it?
yeah.
So she's going to run over here to the tree.
And take her shaken tokens
And take her
with
token with her. That was 8. You got any 7s?
I do have a 7. Do you have a 7 as well?
No.
Okay. So I have a 7. Nice thing about that one is I can re-roll 1 die. And it doesn't matter which one I re-roll. It could be on a shoot, it could be on a wound, it could be for close combat, whatever it happens to be, I get to pick. But it can only be done once in the turn.
Okay. Who are you moving with your lucky 7?
I'm going to do Adam Weird. And his got a laser pistol, which has a range of 8 and 12. So I would like to get into close range with Deathbot, just so I have a better chance to hit him, because he's kind of...
Yeah, by all means, get within grenade range.
That's okay. We're going to see if we can get him out of action this turn. That would be my ideal, if I could do it. It's 5 inches. And then hopefully he's within short range.
All right, so you're going to shoot.
I'm going to shoot, so let's see if he's in short range. Is he?
Looks like about 10 inches.
Is it? Dang it. Okay, so long range. So that's an 8 or better.
8. So
Okay.
you hit.
So I hit. And is
Okay.
that any special modifier?
No, it's just you get to ignore the armor because you're using the laser pistol. Now, Adam Weird is a veteran, so he rolls a d12 instead of a d10.
All right, so for the wound roll, a 5. Do I
Okay.
want to re-roll it?
That is a shaken.
I'll stick with the 5 because I could get something less.
Here's the thing.
Okay.
Deathbot doesn't get
doesn't
shaken.
So I may as well re-roll
So
it
you may
anyway.
well, re-roll that. Try to get a better result. A 5. Okay, so actually you lucked out here. So Deathbot is soulless, so he doesn't get shaken, but you get a +1 to your wound roll.
Which makes
because
it a 6.
Makes it a 6 because he doesn't have any self-preservation. So that's actually a wound roll you just got from a 5 would have been shaken. 6 is wounded, so he gets a wound marker and he's knocked down. So poor Deathbot, because his lack of self-preservation, he is wounded
And knocked over.
and knocked over.
So the next turn he'll have to try to stand up.
Right. So that is your activation for Adam Weird. He moved and he shot and he knocked poor Deathbot on his metal butt. You have one more card?
Yes.
Do you have any 6s?
No.
I have a 5 of spades. Do you
I
have
have
any
a
5s?
5 of hearts.
Actually, a 5 of clubs. I have a 5 of clubs.
Hearts goes
Your
first.
5 of hearts goes first.
All right.
Okay, so that means that's the Auditor Red Ink, right? With her power sword and her auto pistol.
Yes, and the other nice thing about Red Ink is she is quick, so she gets a movement of 6 instead of 5.
All right.
She's going to go after Deathbot, who is leaking oil.
Throwing off sparks.
Yes.
Hoping that his auto repair mechanisms kick in.
So we'll move 3 this way, and then another 3 this way.
Now, she could move again and try to do close combat, or is she going to try to shoot from where she is? Or do something else?
Well, Dr. Sparkle's really close there. I'm not really into getting too close to him with his aura.
Yeah, he's hiding here behind.
Yeah, he's hiding behind there, and I know he's there because
Right, well, you can see him.
I can see his little paw poking out and see his aura over the top. So I don't really want to get in range of that aura. Bad thing about Red Ink is she does love close combat, so her range isn't very good. It's only 6 inches and 12 inches. So,
Yeah, she's just packing an old 45 ACP.
So we're going to try to shoot Deathbot.
So she's going to try to shoot Deathbot instead of running up and poking him with her power sword.
And it's going to be long range.
Actually, he is prone, so that gives you a -1 to shoot because he's lying on the ground.
Right.
He has no self-preservation, so that would be a +1, so that's a wash.
That's a wash.
If you were wounded or in shock, then you would get a negative.
Right.
But as it is, his lack of self-preservation and the fact that he's lying prone is a wash. So you still need to get 8 or better.
8 or better.
6.
6. So no.
No re-rolls or anything. Okay.
Nope,
So
no
she
re-rolls.
moved, she shot. That is the last of your activations.
That is the last of my activations.
I have a 5 of clubs. So that's Dr. Sparkle.
So what's Dr. Sparkle going to do?
Well, he's trying to do something to defend his turf here. I would prefer not to get chopped to pieces by her power sword. Let's see. I'll put him up. I guess we'll try to energy blast Red Ink. So the range of his energy blast is 6 inches short, 12 inches long.
That's probably short.
Is that to the center of her base? Or is it long?
6.5 inches to the center of the
Okay,
base.
so that's long range. Whew. So he's got to get an 8 or better. And he got a 1. Okay, so that's bad news.
Out of ammo, isn't it?
Well, that would be if he was using a weapon, that'd be out of ammo. As it is, he is now depleted, so he needs to spend a turn to rest before he can fire again.
So can he still use his damaging aura, though, right? Because that's separate, right?
As an action, he can let off his damaging aura, which is basically a burst template, the 3-inch template. Anybody underneath it.
And that includes your own guys, right?
Include your own guys, right? Okay, so that's turn 1.
That
Shuffle
is
the
turn
deck.
1. Shuffle away. All right.
So what happened here? It's the Deathbot got shot and wounded. Plutonia had a near miss, so she had to go run behind a tree. Now she's going to have to decide next turn if she wants to get rid of that shock marker. If she doesn't, it's going to keep her operating at a -1 movement and
-1
-1 to shoot and to wound and basically -1 on everything. So.
Did you want to cut the deck?
Yeah, cut those cards.
And we still have 3 guys each, so... These are my cards.
That's what I got there. Okay, do you have any kings?
No.
Do you have any queens?
Yes. I was hoping you had some kings. Because this one's the heal 1 wound, which I'm not wounded. Which is both good, and it would have been nice if I could take one off if I was, but...
Okay, who are you going to play?
I think I am going to do Red Ink. Yeah, Red Ink doesn't like Dr. Sparkle's aura, so she wants to stay out of that a little bit if she can. But she gets 6 inches movement from her, so she can come up to here and get into close combat with Deathbot. And Red Ink gets +1 to all close combat rolls.
All right, plus she has a power sword, which gives her another +1. Plus the power sword is deadly, so if you get a natural roll of 10 on
They're
your...
automatically dead,
Yeah,
out of
automatically
action.
just cleave them in half. He is prone, and he's wounded, so he gets a -2 to his close combat die roll. A 1 versus your 9.
Which is an 11.
Which is an 11. So that's 10 or better. Not a natural 10, but that still puts him out of action. So you took him out of action. Poor Deathbot. Chopped down in the prime of his life. Okay, so we're a little fuzzy on what happens now. So normally, let's say you did 2 moves, you did 2 actions to move, and you ended up within 1 inch of an enemy, then close combat would take place. If you started your turn in close combat already, then you have to use your first action to do close combat. And I presume if you won, then you would get another action. So in this case, you took 1 action, you did close combat, but I don't know if close combat is supposed to count as an action in that case. So I guess we'll just say that it doesn't, that you get another action.
Then we will attempt to shoot Dr. Sparkle.
Okay.
So we'll see if it's short or long. It looks like it's short range.
Okay. So 5 or better? 7. So you hit him.
Okay. And no modifiers with that.
Right, just a straight D10 wound roll.
3.
3.
Shaken.
He is shaken.
So he has to move 5 inches to
Yeah,
the
he
nearest
needs
cover.
to move to the nearest cover. I guess the nearest cover would be here.
Right there, yeah.
So he's going to move inside the flower bed for light cover. That was the queen?
That was the Queen of Hearts.
Okay. So do you have any jacks?
No.
I have jacks. I have the Jack of Clubs, which gives +1 to close combat. Let's see.
Which would have been awesome for red ink.
It would have been, but you did well enough with what you had.
Yes.
I think Dr. Sparkle is just going to take a turn and, oh gosh, should he try to get rid of his... So he's got 2 options here. He can, well, he's got several options, but one of the options would be to just rest a full turn and then get his energy blast back. Or he can try to move and then do the aura, or move and, you know, try to recover from his shock. Or he can just spend 2 actions and recover from 1 shock marker automatically. So I think that's what he's going to do, is recover from shock. So he's just going to hide in the bushes and try to get his courage back. That's jacks. Do you have any 10s?
I do.
Okay.
I have a 10 of diamonds, which doesn't give me any bonuses.
Okay, so for your 10 of diamonds, who's moving? Who's activating?
I'm going to do Deputy Snurk.
Okay.
And he's going to try to get closer, a little bit closer to Dr. Sparkle. He's going to go this way. And he's a sniper, and his is pretty long range at 16 and 32, so
Right.
he is definitely within the 16.
Okay.
So you've got light cover, and I'm in short range.
Right.
So
So
I
he,
need to roll a 6 or better.
right. He's a sniper, so he can re-roll that
1
die.
shoot die,
Yeah.
yeah. 10.
10. So you hit him. Shot through the flowers. Apparently, ferns do not provide a lot of cover from laser fire. Then go ahead and roll on the wound roll.
7.
Wounded. So he is wounded. He falls down. He gets a wound marker. Okay, so that is your 10 of diamonds.
Yep.
Do you have any 9s?
No.
Do you have any 8s?
No.
Do you have any 7s?
No.
I have a 7. I have the 7 of clubs, which allows you to re-roll 1 die. Okay. So Plutonia, I can re-roll 1 of her dice. Well, it might be the time to be bold. So
So she gets 4 inches instead of 5.
she has 4 inches instead of 5. Right about there. She's going to try to shoot Deputy Snurg. Would you say that's center to center or not?
Probably not, because it's at his hand.
Okay. So she's just barely in long range, which is disappointing for her. So she's got a shock marker, so that's -1 to shooting. Another -1 because she's using a blaster rifle. She's at long range, which is an 8. So a 10. She needs to get a 10 or better.
You
And a
can
9.
You can re-roll.
And I can re-roll 1 die because of my thing. And a 3. And it didn't matter. Okay. Well, so close. Within a ½ inch. You would have had it. But that's the breaks. Okay, who's next?
Adam Weird.
Okay, so your last one to activate is Adam Weird, huh?
Yeah. And his weapon has a range of 8 or 12 inches. So the only one that's going to be close enough is Dr. Sparkle. So let's see how close we can get to Dr. Sparkle. Because we're going to have the negative from his light cover. So.
And he's prone.
And he's prone, so that's -2, right? So are we in 8? Nope.
Yeah, so if you're shooting, you're Adam Weird. You're shooting through the bushes at Dr. Sparkle, who's prone. So that's -1 for
Light cover.
light cover, -1 for being prone. It's long
Long range
range,
is
so that's
8.
an 8 normally. So yeah, 10 or better.
Nice thing about Adam is he gets the 12-sided dice. Plus he gets to roll 2 and
Okay.
pick 1. So I'm going to do that on the shoot roll.
Do you have 2 D12s handy?
I do.
All right, roll away. A 3 and a 5. So which do you want to pick?
Well, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Okay, so
ferns go everywhere. Walking flowers get all panicked. He's lying in the soft earth of the flower bed as laser fire shoots over his head. Okay, so that's turn 2. Not looking so good for Team Sparkle. He's lying in the flower bed. Plutonia is over here. She's in shock, kind of blazing away with her blaster rifle as Deputy Snurg and the rest of Team Taxation close in on their position. All right, well, let's see what happens in turn 3.
You want to cut? So since you only have 2 guys now, you get 2 cards.
I just get 2 cards. I hope they're good ones. Best hand ever.
These are my cards.
Okay, are there any kings,
No,
queens,
no,
jacks,
no,
tens?
no.
I have a 10.
Okay.
I have a 10 of hearts. All right, well, Plutonia right here is still in shock, but she is going to try to close the distance, try to do some damage. So she's going to move for 4 inches. Normally she'd move 5, but she's in shock. So she's just going to move 4. Which should put her in short range.
That puts her in short range.
Of Deputy Snurg. So she's going to try to get a shot off with her blaster rifle. If she hits, she might do some damage because she's a killer, but she hasn't hit yet. Okay, so that's short range, so that's 5 or better. She's in shock, so that's -1, so she gets a 6 or better to hit Deputy Snurg. And a 2! The only saving grace is that's not a laser rifle. If it was a laser rifle, she'd be out of ammo. That's all I can say about that. That was 10s. Any 9s?
Nope.
Any 8s?
Yes.
Play an 8.
I have the 8 of hearts, which gives me no bonuses.
Okay, who are you going to move with your 8 of hearts?
I'm going to move Adam Weird, and I'm going to try to close in on Dr. Sparkle so I get into short range, because I was in long range last time. So we're going to get a little bit closer, but not close enough for him to use his aura. So we were only about an inch off, so
All
I'll
right.
go to there.
All right, let's see.
So hopefully I moved enough to get me in short range, but not enough to get
What's
me
your
in
short range?
8.
Yeah, I'd say so.
So same, this time it's 5 plus 2 because he's prone, and so it's 7.
Yeah, so yeah, you normally have to roll a 5, -1 to hit because you're shooting through the plants, and another -1 because Dr. Sparkle is lying in the flower bed. So 7 or better.
Nope.
4, you missed.
All right. So the flowers are good protection for him at the moment.
Apparently, that's the only thing that's going his way. So that's 8. Do you have any 7s?
No.
6?
Yes.
Okay, play your 6. Okay, so who's activating?
So we're going to activate red ink. And it wasn't really that satisfying to shoot her weapon last time because she really likes to get in close.
All right.
The aura isn't enough to deter her from doing so.
All right.
So she's going to move her 6 inches and see if she can get in close enough. So are we within 1 inch? Are we close enough to? I'm guessing probably not. Because it's middle of the model, right? Nope.
All right, so that was her 1 action because she moved. Now what's her 2nd action?
So I could shoot him, but it would be -2, and she's not that great a shot.
No, but if you move again, then close combat ensues.
Right, so
Right.
she really, really, really wants to get in close. So she gets +2 on close combat. Does prone have anything on close combat?
If he's fighting back, yeah, he's got a -1.
So I get +2 and
Plus
you
he's
get
wounded.
-1?
He gets -2 because he's prone and he's wounded.
Okay, so I get +2 and you get -2.
Right. So you get a 7, you get a 2, he got a 0, so you're 7 or better. So you get a +3 on your wound roll. 6. Wounded. Ah, you stabbed him when he was down. So he gets another wound marker. Okay, so he's wounded twice. Oh, but you know what? Oh, this was a big deal.
What?
This is what I forgot. He regenerates. Okay, so we made a major error there. This is my fault. Dr. Sparkle had a regeneration ability. So really, after he got wounded the first time and laid down, then the next turn, the end of that turn, he would have automatically regenerated. Again, that's my error, but he would have been standing up and not wounded. Anyway, no big deal. This is where we're at. I'll just pick it up from here
Okay.
rather than try to backtrack. That was my error.
Okay.
So that was 6s. Any 5s? Any 4s?
Mm-mm.
Any 3s?
Mm-hmm.
I have a 3 spades.
I have a 3 of diamonds.
Okay. So the first thing he has to do, because he's wounded, is he needs to try to stand up. So that's Dr. Sparkle. He's wounded twice because we didn't regenerate him. So that's a -2. So 7. That's a 5. Still wounded. So he's still lying on his back. So he did his mandatory attempt to stand up. But now he is going to activate his aura of death. So we put the 3-inch burst template over him. She's obviously within inside. This is the damaging aura. Centered on yourself. Any figures underneath are hit with burst fire. So he rolls the to hit roll, but he's -1 because he's prone. -1 because it's burst fire. -1 for each wound, so that's -4. But she's in short range, so that would normally be 5. So 5 with 4 penalties, that's 9 or better. 8, and he just doesn't quite pull it off. And again, had he had 1 less wound, he would have hit. So that's mine. You got 1 more guy to activate.
So I have a 3, which doesn't give me any bonuses.
Final activation is Deputy Snurg, and I presume
he's going to attempt to shoot Plutonia because we know she's in range because his range is 16 because he shot her before.
So if you're not going to move or anything, you could theoretically get 2 shots.
Mm-hmm. And he can do 1 reroll per turn. So a 3 doesn't hit.
Okay.
So I'm going to reroll that one. An 8, so that hits.
That hits. And roll your damage die.
8.
Okay, an 8 is wounded. So she is shocked and now wounded.
So I'm going to try to shoot her again, and that'll be, then I have to get a 6 or better this time.
-1 because she's prone. 8, hit her again. Okay, roll your, on the damage chart. Another 8, so she's wounded again. All right, and is that your last?
That is my last one.
Okay. So that's the end of turn 3. So let's take a look at the state of the state here. Well, we'll have to say that all in all, at the end of turn 3, it was not a good day for the libertarian forces of Dr. Sparkle, who just wanted to activate an ancient weapon on his planet and ensued death across the solar system.
We just want our money.
He just want the money. He didn't want to pay his user fees. So anyway, Plutonia is wounded twice, 1 more wound, and she's going to die. And she's also in shock. So the more wounds you get, the more debilitated you get. So that's like -3 to movement, -3 to hit, -3 on close combat. So she's pretty much in bad shape. Red ink is standing over the prone Dr. Sparkle, who actually at the end of the turn gets rid of one wound. He could be standing up, but I had a gameplay error where I forgot about the regeneration. My bad. That's the way it goes. Poor Deathbot. He's a stain over here. Deputy Snurg, still at full force. Adam Weird, still at full force, closing in on their opponents. We'll just have to say that the Syndicate revenue agents pretty much won the day, and they're free to loot the jungle compound of Dr. Sparkle and take any valuables. So,
got to get those dues paid.
You got to get those. They're going to take his power boat. They're going to take his pinball machine, his yogurt maker. It's going to be pretty brutal. Yeah, you know, a lot of it just comes down to die rolls. If a roll here or there would have been a little bit higher, a little bit lower, then the whole game changes. But as you can see, getting shocked and wounded or knocked prone really affects your ability to be combat ready, combat effective. So also the cards, you know, the special actions on the cards coming into play in the right time and right place can make a big difference too. So anyway, here's where we're at. We hope you enjoyed our little 3-turn demonstration of Fistful of Lead Galactic Heroes. It's a fun little system. We're going to play a full game here in a little while. But until then, thanks very much for watching. If you like what we're doing here, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please give this video a big thumbs up and or visit us online at our website, skirmishwargames.com.